Good evening, everyone. How are you doing today on this nice, cool weather that's outside in sunny Florida? My name is Jalissa. I'm with Associate Gulf Coast. You guys might have seen me already at the town hall meeting. I'm here to introduce Council Member Tom Hayden and his staff. We have Nita Wheatley. She's in our environmental department, as well as Melissa Meeke. She's with the public relations. The Sandoval board decided to have Councilmember Tom Hayden come here to give a community update of what's going on in Cape Coral, because we all have Cape Coral as our back door with Sandoval and everything that's going on. Just a few reminders. We just ask that you keep your questions or concerns with regards to anything that's happening in Cape Coral until Mr. Hayden finishes presentation and his staff. This is not a board meeting for Sandoval, so we ask that you have any questions that you have regarding Sandoval, your dues, landscape, keep that to the later date, and you can email our firm. So I am going to hand it off to Tom Hayden so he can introduce himself a little bit more.
Thank you. Now, for a moment, in my previous life, when I was a newspaper editor, I would call the reporter up. You'll be my reporter for right now, okay?
Okay.
And I might have to make a correction to a story, okay? So I'm gonna edit you. This is Nita Whaley. She's our economic development specialist.
Thank you.
She's been involved with the environment on occasion, depending on where the development might be located. And she will actually have a speaking role tonight. In the second part of this. A couple other people I would like to introduce before I get started. Our city manager, Rob Hernandez, is sitting here in the front row. And somebody that's been special to me, not only during my newspaper career, but when I was running for city council, and that was my predecessor, Marilyn Stout, who was sitting over here. I'll try and do you proud tonight. I don't know if I can pull it off or not. My first town hall had 15 people. So thank you. Thank you for showing up tonight. And when you get all proud of yourself in moments like this, look at all these people that showed up to listen to me tonight. The photographer, I introduced myself, and he goes, "Oh, you're Tom Hayden. We didn't know who you were." Just enough to bring you back down to earth. So you're not too high on your ego. I thought we'd divide this into 3 parts tonight. The first half hour, I'm going to talk a little bit about information and how maybe not the most accurate information can start to spin stories that may not be entirely accurate. Because the truth and the right information was always important to me as a journalist. The second part, Nita's going to talk about economic development, specifically along Pine Island Road, which I know you're all interested in. And then the third part, I kind of want to hear from you, just listen to you on other issues that you might have, because this is a great opportunity for me to get out in front of the people that mean a lot to me. I know I had support from this community when I ran for office, and that was a big deal. So this is an opportunity for me to have an event like this and get in front of you and hear your voices. for those of you that don't know about my background, just a little bit. I was a 41-year journalist with roles as sports editor at papers in Indiana and Pittsburgh. I was born in Lafayette, Indiana, went to school at Ball State University. During my time at the news press, I was Cape Coral editor, I was sports editor, and then for the last 8 years of my career, I wrote the editorials, which was certainly the toughest writing I ever did because the amount of research that it took, the amount of people I had to talk to before I would form an opinion, and needed to support that opinion with the facts. So now during that time, one resident called me Satan. The ex-sheriff called me a buffoon. And then I was labeled a liberal. But I can guarantee you this. Whenever I sat down to write an editorial, I never sat down to say, oh, I think I'll be liberal today, or I think I'll be conservative today. You know, I based my opinion on the amount of research that I did on the people I talked to. Some people agreed with it. Some people didn't agree with it. Now, that can segue easily into political life. And it kind of segues into, the next step. And the initial reason I wanted to have the town hall. There's a company, rumored to be Amazon, that was looking at coming here on a section of land out on Pine Island Road. I guess your northwest corner of land. And as talk continued about whether they were coming here or not, all of a sudden, during a 3-day period, I received 200 emails, all from the Sandoval community. And the count was, I don't think Georgia played this well on Monday. The count was 198 against, 2 in favor. The reasons that I heard, and this is where possible misinformation can come into play, is noise pollution, environmental pollution, too much traffic on Pine Island Road. Now, what it did mean for the city, which is important, was 500 jobs. Okay, as I looked at the plans, and this was one of their smaller this would have been one of their smaller distribution companies if it indeed was Amazon. And I looked at the buffering. There was a row of trees. There was water. There was another row of trees. There was a parking lot before the building even started. So, and this is where I don't necessarily agree with probably a lot of people in the room. I thought the advantages of this particular company outweighed the disadvantages. Okay? Now, you were listened to. Okay? We heard your voices. This particular company heard your voices. They are no longer interested in that site. Okay? Now, but that doesn't mean they're entirely done with Cape Coral. They may look at other property. Okay? It's 500 good, high-paying jobs. It makes a difference to a community like ours. Remember, we're 8% commercial. Building that commercial tax base, is always going to remain important to us. In the meantime, Lee Health has purchased that land, along with the 18 acres that's to the west of it, and they plan to build, and there's no details yet. It's really early on this, a medical complex. Possibly in the future, they may look at a second hospital there. Okay, well, what does that mean? All right. You have 500 people that possibly would have worked for this other company, trucks coming in, limited cars, but there's a good chance there's going to be more cars flowing into the Lee Health Complex than there might ever been at the Amazon Distribution Center. You didn't go in to shop at the Amazon Distribution Center. So, but, we know in terms of our community that medical facilities and that type of care are needed. But, after we had that discussion, my thoughts immediately turned to Pine Island Road. Pine Island Road is getting congested. There's a lot of traffic. There's talk of where we might need traffic signals. And the Pine Island is a state road, so it's going to be funded by FDOT. The issues we face there is on the state road plan, it's 20, 25 years off. So our Transportation Advisory Committee, which is made up of 5 council members, we're going to develop a strategic plan. And we're going to meet with, and we're all members of the Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO. We're going to try and get that plan moved up, funding dedicated to this project, because, that particular area up there, you're talking about a super Walmart going in. You're talking about the possibility of a Costco looking at that area. We're talking, I'm not trying to step on what you're going to be talking about. And don't give me dirty looks back there. I know what you're doing. A mixed use facility that will mean more traffic. So we knew at one point the Pine Island Road corridor was going to be a booming area. It may have been planned, in 2006, 2007, the recession hits, it slowed everything down. Well, we're there now. Developers are interested in what's happening along that corridor. So, as you look at that area, I thought, well, we've got to start to figure out ways to deal with this traffic. And look, we're not going to fool ourselves with this. Traffic's always going to be an issue in the Cape. You can't be 92% residential, have 204,000 people living here, looking at over 400,000 at build-out, and know that during the course of the next 30, 40 years, that we're not going to have traffic issues. So we have to face that. And I think one of the things I've dedicated myself to on council, and you're looking at the only council member that voted against the reducing the tax rate, by the way. But I've been concerned in the past about council members looking only at the next year. I'm preferring to look at our needs 5 and 10 years down the road and what that means to this community. I really think that Cape Coral is still trying to find its identity. Who are we? If we're a residential community that enjoys the benefits of what we have here, our 409 miles canals, is it our park system and the new parks that have been built? But who are we? How do we identify and frame our future? And I've chosen to look at that. And as you look at things 5 and 10 years down the road, making sure our reserves are strong is important, because we're only in Mayfield, Kentucky, away from a disaster, and what that means for a community. Fortunately, with the weather, global warming, climate change, we've been lucky the last several years, but protecting our assets, protecting our reserves, looking at our future. That's why it was important this year when we developed our UEP master plan and took it out to 2045, I think. I'd like to get it done sooner, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. Just to let residents know up in the north when they might expect utilities. Let developers know when they'll be looking at possible ways that they can look at areas where they can move in, specifically areas like the Seven Islands area. So and again, as I read your emails on this particular company, I understood your concerns, okay? But I've never been a person that didn't jump to any conclusion or let their minds go to a place where they probably didn't need to go without understanding all the facts and what the situation might be. I've tried to remain open-minded about all issues. I might have developed an opinion on one issue, but as I talked with people and researched it further, I would change my mind. But commercial growth in our community, as we try and find our way through all this, and assembling pieces of land it's never easy. You can look around our community and the typical things we hear. Well, there's too many dollar stores, or there's too many storage units. How do we deal with that? People that own property have a right to build, but how does it fit into our community? So as we looked at the Pine Island Road corridor, we said, yeah, you can put your storage unit there, but we'll move it back off of the premier spots on Pine Island Road, so that good other commercial businesses can go there. So, it's almost like putting together a little puzzle. And then, we're, when's the retreat? Coming up in a couple weeks. We're going to be dealing with our strategic plan. Very important for the future, the next 20 years of this city. And, I really believe, and it's hard to believe I've been in office now 15 months, but I really believe for this particular council over the next 3 years, we have to be dedicated to setting the future for this city. That has to be our mindset. I really believe this council can get that done, has that responsibility, and we'll be committed to that. This particular council, I was kidding some people the other day that I turned 65 this year, and depending on how the election rolls out in November, where we have 4 seats that'll be up, I could be the oldest person on council. Now, those of you that have lived here for a while, we've had councils where at 65, I would have been the youngest person on council. So, our councils, even at this level, are starting to mirror a little bit the population, of the community. We're in a situation right now where growth is high. We did over 4,000 building permits last year. We know that people are interested in coming here and establishing that future, and having it fit what we want our community to be is going to be important. I remember when our city manager first came here, he was talking to CCCIA, and he said, our community looks tired, and he was right. Well, how do we address that? What does that mean? How do we get input from citizens on that moving forward? So getting back to the theme of this first section, and for this first session, I'll take any questions right now on that about how you handle information, what you read on social media. How do you know if it's the truth or not? Who do you reach out to find out, well, is what I'm hearing correct? Or, is there another side to this? Always look for that other side. What does it mean? Not always right. You're wrong on some things, but approaching in a way that's fair and balanced, was kind of my credo as a journalist, and it's how I've kind of approached this. But your voices were heard, at least in this particular issue, right or wrong. They were listened to, and I think for me and for this particular council, it was important. I was getting, during that time, I was getting calls at 7:30 in the morning, which is fine. The beauty of being a journalist and elected official is it's 24/7. So you are free to call me anytime you want to, because I had told people that when I was a journalist and I'd call an elected official and they didn't want to talk to me, I thought that was wrong, because a newspaper or any meeting is an information source for you. And I said, if I'm elected, I will never, if I'm available, I will never, ever turn down a media request, because I know it's important to get a message out. It's important for what they do. And I've pretty much stuck to that. I may be on TV too much. So I've continued to encourage my other council members to also be willing to step up and share voice on that. So if there's any questions in the back. Yeah. So,
hold on. So for any questions, I just need you to state your name and your address, just so the board can know. So I'll pass around the mic from time to time. Bear with me.
Hi, I'm Jeff Torno. I live on Marival Court, and thank you for
Hey,
coming.
Jeff.
Thank you for coming, Tom,
Yeah.
and your colleagues. I think one of the central issues about this had to do with what was the parcel zoned for, and subsequent to that, they were applying for rezoning. I think that's huge. So I think you know that, and I think people that are in this on this issue know that.
Yeah.
And it's so important because just on the southwest side of our wonderful community is the most pristine 85 acres you're ever going to set your eyes on. And that was once zoned agricultural.
Yeah.
And now it's been rezoned to, commercial, mixed uses.
Yeah, it's rezoned Pine Island Corridor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know where I mean, right on veterans. There.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to do us a big favor, maybe, and this is just maybe my idea among some others, if you can make that a beautiful park and keep it, as pristine as it is, that would be the best move.
Yeah, that's an interesting piece of land, in fact.
Absolutely.
Marilyn and I had talked about that parcel, and my mind immediately started working. Is it eligible as 2020 property?
Absolutely.
And looking at that, because I think you're right. You come around that turn now, you see that beautiful lake there.
The most beautiful parcel in this entire
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting up in your area because we have these unincorporated enclaves. One to your west with Royalty, you've got Saddlebrook. That's also in unincorporated. Saddlewood, also in unincorporated Lee. So it's an interesting dynamic up here with that. But yeah.
All right. Thank
you,
Tom.
Yeah.
Tom Robertson. I am on Woodbourne. I guess the follow-up question to that is the whatever it was $60 million bond fund and the park system. Yeah. Can you give us an update on how that's going?
Yeah. Can I tackle that in the third segment? Would that be okay? Yeah, that was part of the. Can I tackle that in the third segment? I will.
I guess so.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, back. Go ahead. I'll repeat the question. Can you give me? I usually don't go with the numbers. Can you tell me what the headline of the ordinance is?
It had to do with the rezoning. It had to do with rezoning from commercial to, I don't want to misspeak, industrial. And it's an ordinance that is supposed to be voted on by the city council. The last meeting is supposed to be on January 19th. So I just wanted to have a better understanding of what that means and the impact that it would have on the community.
Yeah, she was asking about rezoning. I'm not exactly what it's specific to, so if Nita knows what that deals with, I may have her address that one. But but we deal with a lot of. What was it? Ordinance 9? It
was 98-21.
98-21.
Yes, and it's for.
Anyway, as Melissa looks it up, we deal with a lot of rezones. A lot of land use changes in our community. In fact, a majority of what we deal with probably on a council agenda at our regular meetings is probably rezones. It can take something from commercial to multifamily at some level, can take it to a PUD project, can take it to mixed use at some level, flex space. So it's constantly occurring. We don't necessarily want to sacrifice our commercial areas because they're treasures to us. We don't have that much of it. But if it doesn't conform with the area, if we have one commercial pod in there and it's completely surrounded with residential, which we have, we don't want to keep that commercial. Doesn't make a lot of sense if it's not a conforming use to the area. we'll see if she can find that and see if we can address it later. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You might referring to. We just came up with a new designation on Pine Island Road that would allow like a cabinet company to come in as a warehouse and maybe have retail space in front of it. We're just looking at ways to be flexible with our zoning. And you want to address that? Yeah.
No, you need a microphone, please.
Okay. On Pine Island Road corridor, that district does not allow industrial, true industrial. Light industrial, which what we would call flex space, which is your people who have like a cabinet shop possibly, and they have maybe a little office in there, and in the back they have some storage. That's what we would consider flex space. That isn't allowed use on Pine Island Road. But true industrial is not permitted in the Pine Island Corridor District. There are some old grandfathered properties that are on Pine Island Road, but when those go away, that will not be allowed to come back onto Pine Island Road, that type of business. Does that answer you?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Heather. I live on Saddlewood. I believe part of what she was referring to is the Industrial Business Center and changing it over to conditional use. Sorry, hard time reading it. But my question was in regards to Amazon. Living over there, we did find out about it. We were given letters. We were told to contact the city and to reach out and to get all this information. And when we did, we were told we couldn't have it. It was listed as confidential. We had to go through 6-7 weeks of trying to get information. So who do we go to?
Well, a lot of these companies that are looking at coming here have non-disclosure agreements. That's why you heard me refer to it as rumored as to be, it's the worst kept secret in the city, obviously.
Well, and they actually told us.
And, deals have been lost because a non-disclosure agreement wasn't fulfilled in the right way. So, but rumors will circulate. You're all smart enough to know and figure things out and hear what you hear. But
we were told to contact you, and we weren't. We were then.
Well, you did really good. 200 emails. That's not bad.
But this started in August, and we couldn't get the information. We kept getting stonewalled, I guess is the right way. And then we were given letters, and then they reached out to you telling you guys to give us the information. So
and because we were saddled with a non-disclosure agreement, there's only so much we could say. Yes, there was a company interested. Yes, they were looking at 500 jobs. Yes, it's a well-known company looking at coming here. And but I think as the story started to circulate, then you knew, and I know it's tough on people. They're trying to figure out what's going on. Could this hurt my home values? Could this do this and this? And and it was frustrating for me as a journalist when we had these non-disclosure agreements, especially when, and I'll just use Hertz as an example. It was the same thing there. It started to leak out. Hertz almost pulled out because some other elected officials were pushing it in ways that they shouldn't have. So I know it was hard.
It made a lot of us feel like everybody was hiding things.
No,
that's where things started to go.
I don't think I know that's the perception. That's how it can look. But I think because of that, I think at the time there was only so much we could share.
Hey Tom, we have a question over here on the right side.
Yes.
Okay, I'm Muriel Lang. I live on Anguilla, 2634 Anguilla. And I just want to really make sure I understood what you said about Lee County Health. Did that go into the Saddlewood development? I mean, what is could you please repeat?
Yeah, it's
that.
Basically the same tract of land that this company was going to purchase, whatever the acreage is, was it, Nita? Was it 50? The 57 acres was purchased by Lee Health.
So that is a neighbor. Is that a neighborhood of ours? I mean, an abutting or adjoining neighborhood of Sandoval? Then
Well,
is it the same property?
it's the same property.
So, knowing that opposition for Amazon was opposed, did that get approved afterwards? And if so, we weren't told about it coming in? It's still an concern of ours.
Well, and I'm sure it would be. But remember, something was going to be built there. Okay, could have been apartments. You know,
What is the designation for its zoning?
Yeah. Pine Island Road corridor allows that use for what Lee Health wants to do.
Okay.
And
Why wasn't it of concern to the residents who live here that be a follow-up issue that we didn't even hear about before it was approved?
Well,
knowing that there had been strong
well, the way it rolled out, Lee Health found out that the land was available. Their board met, and approved the health system buying the property. Now, how Lee Health chooses to reach out to the communities around it, hopefully that will happen. Again, this is in the very early stages. Nothing has been planned there other than that they've purchased the land.
And it's big enough so that it could be a very significant facility, correct?
It could be several facilities. It could, specialized care, a clinic, which they were going to put on their original 18-acre site, could go there. Similar to the clinic that's at Coconut Point. So,
Coconut Point.
Yeah. They saw an opportunity because Lee Health has been looking at land for the last several years, whether it was up on Burnstore Road or other places. When this became available, it would be a good location for them.
And does that bring in revenue to the county?
No.
So you're trying to encourage business, but you're giving up space that could be residential.
But remember the number of jobs that will be coming into that area will be hired there. It'll be a lot more than 500, more than likely, depending on what's in that area. Okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate the fact that you took time to answer the questions, but I think it leaves a lot more questions as to how you deal with residential people who bought here looking for a great place to retire outside of the growing commercial farm.
Yeah, and we can get into this in the last half hour. I think it still is a great place to come here, whether you're retiring, raising a family. I think the amenities for this particular community are great. Remember when I said in some ways we're still trying to find our way, but I believe the community offers a lot. When you look at water, there's certain things that we're all going to have to face in a growing community. There's going to be certain hardships, and we have to work through that. We have to listen. We have to be patient, and we have to understand, what's going on.
Just a comment that we'd rather think about it beforehand, before the answers are already made.
Yeah.
Okay, and given, because those are concerns. Water is a huge concern.
Yep, I agree. And
how much it's going to use is.
I think I'm going to, since we're starting to get in that area of economic development, I think for the next half hour or so, I'm going to turn it over to Nita, and she's going to explain to you about all the exciting things that are going on Pine Island Road. Or at least I hope you'll think they're exciting.
Thank you. I am using the podium. Sorry, I can't. If I have to hold a mic, I need to use a podium so I can see this. I just want to make something really, really clear. My name is Nita Whaley. I am the Business Recruitment and Retention Specialist for the City of Cape Coral. I take care of all the businesses in Cape Coral, small to large. I handle every single project that comes into Cape Coral. I sit in all the advisories when they are thinking about coming to Cape Coral. I do the recruiting. I help retain what we have. And I work in the city manager's office, and I serve as the liaison for all the projects. So I am usually aware of most projects that are in here. If it's a smaller project, I don't necessarily know about them, but I can find out for you. I also want to make one thing perfectly clear on the confidentiality agreements. We are bound by Florida statute to keep the confidentiality of a project if we sign a confidentiality agreement with them. And a lot of these larger projects ask for a confidentiality agreement. So I want to make sure you understand that it's not that we're trying to hide anything, but by law, we are bound by that Florida statute. Okay? So today I wanted to just give you a few economic indicators just to give you an idea of the property values in Cape Coral, because I know that a lot of people are concerned about, where your property values are. But as you can see, our property values increased by 12.82% from 2020 to 2021, which is a great increase for the city. Sorry, I have to be able to turn. The construction value of all the permits that were issued in 2021 was $954 million. That was a substantial increase from the year prior. Next. This is just to kind of give you an idea. I know Tom hit on this a little bit, but in 2020, we had issued 2,464 permits. In 2021, we issued 4,388 permits. Now, that is a combination of residential, commercial, multifamily, duplexes. So I just wanted to give you guys kind of an idea of the sheer volume of people that are moving to Cape Coral. One thing that COVID did for us is that it did send a lot of people from the north to the south. So we're pretty busy. We're going to talk a little bit about Pine Island Road development projects, and these are projects that are under construction and in permitting. So I wanted to give you just a little bit of updates about them and what's going on. So Pine Island Park is two 40,000 square foot multi-use buildings. There'll be warehouse flex, not residential, I'm sorry. It'll have restaurants. It'll have some office spaces in there. And it is just next to Mel's Diner, and they have broke ground, so they plan to be open pretty soon. That's okay. It's touchy. Island Pearl is the development that will break ground that is at the corner of Burnt Store Road and Pine Island Road. We've been talking about it for a while. It's going to be about 50,000 square feet of restaurants and some retail in there, and possibly some medical uses. Encompass Rehab Hospital, that is a rehab hospital that is going to start out as 40 beds, but it will actually have 80 beds when it's finished. It will be at the corner of Pondella Road and Pine Island Road. So it is under construction. They plan to open in spring of 2022. We also have another new hospital entering the market. This is HSC is actually Fawcett Hospital. So if you're familiar with them, they're from Port Charlotte. They are building a freestanding emergency room. It is right across from Sam's Club, and they are also underground or out of the ground and should open in 2022. That is another addition that we really truly need, and they have space to build more than that. So we do anticipate another building. Cape Coral Commons, this is the development that's at the corner of Del Prado and Pine Island Road. There was an old gas station there that got tore down. They bought the whole corner. This developer is out of Indiana, my hometown. I didn't realize Tom was from Indiana. They have a First Watch. They have Firehouse Subs. They have Love Boat Ice Cream, Mission Barbecue, PJ's Coffee. There's Tire Kingdom. There's bunches of new stuff coming in there that we haven't had in Cape Coral before, that we've been trying to recruit for a long time, so it's pretty exciting. Some of those should open in summer of 2022. Farmer Joe's, how many of you are excited about Farmer Joe's? Woohoo! He is opening on the 18th, and we are so excited, and I have got to tour it a couple of times, and it's fabulous. It's 55,000 square foot. It is all under roof. It has about 45,000. Everything there is fresh. So he's buying almost everything that he possibly can local. So it will help all of our local farmers. It's incredible. When you see it, you're going to be pretty impressed. He has 13,000 square feet of fresh produce. So it's pretty amazing. Civitas Apartments, we've needed this for quite some time. This project is 96 units. It's a multifamily, and it is going to be the housing project for lower income workforce housing. So it will have some reduced rents. It's right next door to Sam's Club. The project, Joe Benora, if you're familiar with him, is doing it. It's a really nice project. It's higher end. It's scheduled to break ground. It was in 2021, but it'll be 2022, the first part of 2022. The Palms, I'm sure you've all seen this. If you drive down Pine Island Road, it's right next to Fox Studios. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. So it's 285 units of multifamily. They have a lot of amenities, so it's going to be a pretty nice project. This is just, I don't have the outside of what your Walmart Supercenter is going to look like. It's 202,000 square feet, Supercenter. It is much needed in this market. If you are familiar with Walmart, they brought out something called Walmart Plus, where they're going to start delivering. They will have vans that, will pick up, like if you order your groceries, and they'll actually bring it to your door. So that's one of the things that they are going to have at this Supercenter. Oh, I'm sorry. It's right at Saddlewood. They've owned that property for a very, very long time. So, and it will have a stoplight. Yes, ma'am. It's not for sale. Walmart is in permitting, and I have talked to Walmart corporate, and they have confirmed that they have approval from their senior management as well, and they are now in the site plan development side of it. I will answer questions in just 1 minute if that's okay, because I think I'm going to get sidetracked if I get too many right now. So if you hang on, I promise to answer each and every one of you. The next one is called Cape Coral Town Center. This is a mixed-use development that will be across from the Walmart Supercenter. This is what is called the old mall site. It's 181 acres. This developer is out in New York. This is just a beginning of what they possibly might do. Remember, this could change, so I don't want you to get hung up on this yet. They're going to have some multifamily that's going to be in the back. They will have some medical sports facility in the center, like where it says the athletic center. They're going to have, hopefully, an entertainment area where you'll be able to have, they'll have some family events and things like that you'll be able to go to. They will have a retail anchor space. They are still recruiting, and they are still in the site development plan. So it'll have retail along the front. So again, this is just in the beginning stages. So I don't have a lot of detail other than what you see. They gave me an updated site plan before I came. This is right across from Saddlewood Drive. This is across from the Walmart Supercenter. 181 acres. It is the old mall site. Go ahead. This is just conceptual design, so you can kind of see what it's going to look like, because I want you to understand, kind of what it could possibly look like. If you go to the next page, that kind of gives you a little bit of idea of what their conceptual drawings look like. Again, these are conceptual drawings. They have not submitted. I thought I would tell you a little bit about the two big projects in South Cape, too, because I think you have some interest in those as well. I think the whole city does. Bimini Square is the mixed-use development that is about a $50 million project. It's going to have 190 multifamily units. It will have about 48,000 square foot of Lee Health offices in there. They will have a 7,500 square foot waterfront restaurant, and it will also have the House of Omelets. Is going to go on the front part, 3,000 square foot, on Cape Coral Parkway. It's going to have 625 stall parking garage, and 125 of those stalls are for public use. So you'll be able to go there and dine and hang out and be able to park there as well. The Cove on 47th, you're probably all familiar with this. It used to be called, I think, Village Square. The projected schedule to break ground is in February of 2022. They are in permitting currently. It has about a $64 million price tag on it. It has 290 units. 18,000 square feet of retail space. It's got 525 stall parking garage, and 125 of those are also public. This developer is also out of Indianapolis. So coming soon, we have Hobby Lobby that's going to fill the old JCPenney building in Coralwood Mall. They're already in there working on it. They have their permits. So they're scheduled to open in May of 2022. I also have Longhorn Steakhouse, which will fill the Ruby Tuesday on Pine Island Road. Those permits are issued as well. And just, to kind of wrap it up, Cape Coral is going to continue to attract investment. I have people that call me every day from all over the world. So we're on the map now. People know who we are, and they're looking for good investment. And we've been listed in the top 10 real estate investment markets for quite some time. I've been with the city for 5 years, and it keeps going up. So we are a good investment, and we do have a lot of people who are interested. We have done, a lot of recruiting. We don't just recruit in Cape Coral. We go to conventions and all over the United States, and I've even been in Canada, so that we try to bring those investment dollars into the Cape because, as Tom said, we only have 8% commercial, and my job is to bring more so that we can hopefully help all the taxes, and increase that value. So just to kind of give you an idea, I will take questions now if you have any. I will try to answer what I can. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
And I didn't thank you, Councilman Hayden, for coming before, so thank you. One of the remarks that Councilman Hayden said was that Cape Coral needs a new face.
Yes.
Right? And a lot of what you presented, to me, seems like the same old thing. If I want to go shopping, I'll go to Naples, I'll go to Sarasota, I'll go to, and I think when we talk about revenue, those are the kinds of investments, those are the kind of realtors that we want to attract in our city to make our city beautiful, to make our city more welcome. When you look at those communities, those are beautiful communities. So I think while we might need more retail, it's the kind of retail that we need in this city, my opinion.
And that's fine, and I understand, but I do want you to understand also we're not Naples. We are Cape Coral. My vacancy rate in retail currently is less than 2%. So we do have a huge need, and if you want to keep revenue and tax dollars in Cape Coral, I have to bring more here so that you do stay in Cape Coral and you shop in Cape Coral and support Cape Coral.
Again, thank you, Tom, for coming and the staff for attending tonight. We very much appreciate the updates. Can you give us an update on the 7 islands and where that strategy stands? Is
Sure.
that going to be included as a key part of the new strategic plan that's about to be released?
So 7 Islands, we did put out an RFP. We have selected a new developer. We are still in the negotiating side of it, so we can't disclose anything yet until that's actually been agreed upon. But we are in discussion or in negotiations right now. We have chosen the developer from the RFP, and we hope to be able to announce that soon. 7 Islands is off of Old Burnt Store Road. Tropicana. It's by Serena Vista Park. I was trying to, I know. So we've been working on that for quite some time to get a developer, and so we're pretty pleased with kind of what we think's going to come, so what we're negotiating.
Just a quick comment. My name is Kelly. I'm back here.
Sorry.
I live on Astwood. We've been part of the community for a few years, and I noticed there's some buildings like on that Pine Island corridor that are vacant and have been since we've been here. And some of the concerns that I would have is what's happening with these vacant buildings and this new influx of businesses coming in. Are there going to be like designs to help buffer the residents, to help beautify, instead of just these cement strip malls that really kind of depress the city more than build up?
So anything that's being developed currently today, we have design standards, we have landscape requirements, we have buffering requirements, and they're pretty strict compared to other areas around us. When I talk to developers, I mean, they're spending $100,000 and up just in landscape costs. So we do require that. The old, anything old that's on Pine Island Road, and we do have some that's old, if and when that gets redeveloped, they will have to bring it up to the current code. So I'm not sure where the vacant necessarily that you're seeing is. I will tell you, for instance, in my industrial, I have a 1% vacancy. In my office, I have less than 5% vacancy rate in the city. And like I said, in retail, we only have about 2% vacancy. So if it's empty, it could be being redeveloped or being, renovated possibly. I'm not really sure where you're talking about, but most of them have been taken. When I have someone that calls me, I have a hard time sometimes finding a location for them currently. So, unless it's one of my new ones being built. Did you have a question, sir? Mm-hmm. Yes. We don't, that is an allowed use on there, and they will have to go through the same process as any business will. They will have a site development plan first, which will have to meet all the drainage requirements, all the buffering requirements and everything. They also then will go into the planning side of it, where they'll have to also have the same requirements for buffering, and to make sure that they have the design standards that we require on Pine Island Road. So it's pretty stringent, and it can take up to a year for all those design standards. And I am positive that Lee Health will do a lot of public speaking to you guys and to the whole market, and we encourage that because we do want to be good neighbors, and we do want them to let you know. And as soon as I have something, we will share it. But currently, they just acquired the property, so they are, as you all know and have seen online and on the news, they're building a lot of new areas. And we are short beds, hospital beds in Cape Coral. They've done many, many studies. And the time that it takes you, if you would have a heart attack or you would have a medical emergency, to get you from here or the Northwest to that hospital, that's a long time. You know, you need to be able to get medical treatment prior to that. We also have a shortage of doctors. We have a shortage of medical offices. I don't know about you, but if you've tried to get into the doctor lately, it's season. You're probably waiting 3 months to get in, and that, you know, dentists as well. So there is a huge need in this area. They would not be expanding if there wasn't. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am. They can't hear you, ma'am. Hang on one moment. Well, I think he's recording live, and that's...
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. There's an area between, it's veterans, between Surfside and Pine Island Road that says, I think it's 55 acres for sale. It's where all the beautiful Australian pines are. And it talks about a commercial area going in there. Are there any plans for that? Any discussions on that?
So there are 2 commercial projects. There are some of those properties at the corner of Veterans and Pine Island Road are under contract. Those plans have not been developed yet. They are still in the works, and they're still in due diligence. And just because they're under contract doesn't necessarily mean that project is coming yet. So I don't have enough information to really share with you. They will be mixed-use developments if they do come in, because that's what we're encouraging, you know, where you would have, you know, some multifamily, some retail, some office, you know, and public area, so that everyone would have places to go as well. But I don't have enough information quite yet, but those will. Right. Mm-hmm. No, that will never change. So. Mm-hmm. Yes. Any preserve will remain that is there, yes. Is somebody else back there?
Yes. My name is Lee York. I live over on...
Can you hear him?
Can't hear me. Talk into it. Is that good?
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Lee York. I live over on Stony Hill Court. You know, I've heard the mayor express this idea that he'd like to change Cape Coral from a place that you kind of like live and go someplace else to work to a place where you can live and work.
Right.
Is the commercial development of Pine Island Road, is that consistent with his overall...
So the reason that we require or that we are encouraging mixed use is because part of that mixed use, I want it to be office. I want it to be higher paying jobs. I want it to be above the Lee County average wage, which is about $45,000 a year. We want to keep people on this side of the bridge. As you all know, there's so much congestion. If you try to get over that bridge early in the morning or come back, it's really bad. So my job and our job as city council and as the city is to create more jobs and better jobs, not just hospitality jobs, I apologize. But we're trying to create that, and we now have a lot of new office that is interested in coming here. I have new companies that have moved their headquarters to Cape Coral and created high-wage positions. Mercola moved here from Chicago, Illinois. their average wage is $67,000 a year. I have Insight Managed Solutions, which I kept here in Cape Coral. And when I started working with them 5 years ago, they had 3 employees. Now they have almost 100. Their average wage is over $80,000 a year. And they deal with Fortune 500 companies, and they're a consulting company. So we're getting more and more companies like that want to move their headquarters here, and they want to be a part of a mixed-use development because they want their employees to have a place, to go eat lunch, and if they want to go shopping on their lunch hour. And especially the younger generation, that's what they want. They want to live, work, play in the same area. They don't want to have to keep driving, getting in their car to go everywhere. If they want to go have a drink after work or whatever, or have dinner, they want to be able to do that. So that's what we're creating. And we'd like to also create some little nodes, as we call them, rather than being so spread out. We are so, I don't know about you, but most of us have to get in our car to go do anything. So we'd like to create areas where you can live there, and work there and go out to dinner and get some groceries. So that's what we're working on. Yes, ma'am. Do you need a mic? Oh, I'm so sorry. First.
Brian on Sunvale Court. One of the questions that I have is Pine Island Road right now is more than congested at times. And I hear you're talking about bringing in a lot more infrastructure. What are the plans to handle the traffic on Pine Island Road?
As Tom was talking, they're trying to upgrade the Pine Island Road corridor as far as the transportation is concerned. Remember, that is a state highway, so we don't have as much control on that. We do have influence, and that's what we're trying to do, is influence and have them to upgrade it sooner than later.
But isn't that putting the cart before the horse? We're going to build it and create the problem and try to solve it?
The problem with any type of transportation, just so you know, they require transportation data that says we need more space, we need more road, we need more highway, we need more stoplights. How do we move traffic faster? But they do the traffic studies, and they do it based upon how many cars are traveling on that road.
So what the plan is then, build it, deal with it, and someday we'll fix it.
Well, the FDOT is in charge of the road.
Well, let's not change blame. We know what's coming.
Well, I'm not changing the blame, but I'm just telling you the facts that I can't do.
But you know what the projections are, so you know what the traffic patterns are going to be before they get here. Shouldn't there be a plan in place to handle it before it gets here? And if not, how long does it take? What's the catch-up time? Is it going to take us 10 years before we can catch up?
That is what Tom is working on with the transportation group that he is, and so he'll talk a little bit more about that, because I can't necessarily influence that. We do require traffic studies, and FDOT is aware of the increased traffic that is going to happen, so that's what creates the ability to, why they have to put in additional lanes on Pine Island Road to turn. We make sure that those are long enough so that they're not stopping traffic on Pine Island Road. That's how new lights can get put in. That's how, kind of some of the ways that traffic flows.
Okay, just a case in point, and then I'll give it back. Coming out of our exit going onto Pine Island, I see that's going to be a big problem. And one of the things that comes to mind for me is coming out of BJ's on the western part exit, and where people try to leave the BJ's parking lot and go over to Walmart and drive across 4 lanes of traffic, and people driving 50, 60 miles an hour, there's no light there. And there's been no light there for a long time.
I think there's one planned, though.
But how long? That's my point. How long does it take to put a plan in place?
Because I don't work for FDOT, I apologize, but I don't know that answer. But I do know that they've paid into that. I know that BJ's and Walmart both paid in to have a light put there. I just don't know what the time frame is.
Hi, I'm Melissa Mickey. I'm the Public Information Specialist with the City of Cape Coral. And I did a little bit of research because I actually live in Sandoval. I want to whisper that. But I love it here. And I wanted to let you know that regarding the traffic light there, I did get in touch with an information person with FDOT, And they have given me some information as to who to get in contact with if that is something that you wanted to pursue or engage them with. There are traffic studies, like she said, that are required. It also can be a cost involved. Sometimes if FDOT hasn't already planned for that, it may be something that I don't necessarily know where the money would come from. So let me get whoever, if it's you that would like the information, I can forward it to you, or maybe the HOA.
What I was doing is just making a case in point. Coming out of that exit for us to go onto Pine Island, that's been a problem for many, many years. How many of our residents are probably going to get in an accident and maybe get killed before there's a light put in and have traffic?
It would require a traffic study, and sometimes that isn't necessarily always the city who's going to initiate that. Sometimes if you have the concern, sometimes the residents have to initiate it too. So I'll get the information, and it's a place to start. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not against new business coming in. It's just against the safety.
Is it a question for me, hon?
Yeah, Marlene Poirier from Woodbourne. I wonder if you know of any other restaurants that are interested in coming to Cape Coral?
I know that there's some that are interested. I know that a lot of them are still looking for spaces to come to. So I don't have all of their names right now because a lot of them are still looking. And some of the larger restaurants don't necessarily come directly to me. They work directly with a broker first, and then I start helping them. So,
okay, thank you.
Is there something you would like for me to go for?
Cheddars.
I'd like to have Cheddars too. They were supposed to come here, so I am trying to get them to come into one of my new developments. Oh, P.F. Chang.
Hi. Taking into account that we can't control what the state is going to do on Pine Island Road.
I can't hear you very well.
Taking into account that we can't do anything
Sure.
about what the state it will and will not do on Pine Island Road. Some of the little streets, as you're coming west, let's say from Mel's Diner, coming towards Sandoval, all these little streets, why can't the Cape dead end some of those streets so that the traffic flow will improve and it won't hurt anybody? Because if you, so you live on the 3rd Street, so you block off 2 of them, you dead end 2 of them. You can turn off on the 3rd one and still get to your home. So
it really has a lot to do with fire rescue, and police, because they have to be able to turn around apparatuses in those areas as well.
Okay.
And so it's fire safety or life safety issues.
So make them into a circle, like
yeah.
Here. But see, that we can control as far as the city, and not have to worry about the state having funds for till 2045 or whatever.
Sure. Is that it?
Yeah, I'm going to get back to the last segment here if we can. Addressing you for a second, Brian, the state road plan is a tricky animal because there's a lot of projects that are ahead of us, including building a whole new US 31 from Bayshore up to Babcock Ranch. So, what we need to do is find a way and execute a plan that moves that ahead of some of these other projects, because the need is great for that to happen, because it has to be funded. And you could be talking about a $40 or $50 million project to widen Pine Island Road. Another issue with the city, and it's kind of been a focus of mine, is what ways can we begin to look at making our community walkable? So more sidewalks is a big deal for me. We're investing $2.5 million this year in new sidewalks, and a key for that is sidewalks within 1 to 2 miles of our schools. Try and keep our kids safe. We're about the 60% mark on that right now. If we, I believe the amount is if we put sidewalks on every road, local roads, major roads, total cost is about $2.8 billion. All right, so that's not going to happen. We have to prioritize where we want to put those sidewalks. The state has given us money for the Sun Trail. We have grant money that's invested in sidewalks, but moving forward, when I talk about long-term goals, I believe we have to figure out a way. Okay, we've got 2.5 million. I believe that amount should be around 5 million to continue to put in new sidewalks. We're looking at buying a curbing machine that will allow us to curb our medians, especially for our median beautification program. State rules, regulations have changed. For instance, and I'll use Academy as an example, because I live off of Academy. If we would lose a tree on that road based on the new regulations and it's not a curb median, we can't replace it because the new code says there has to be 14 feet between the tree and the edge of the road and the edge of the median. So in order to plant a tree there, we have to curb that median. So it's these unexpected things that can pop up. Obviously, we don't want to have medians that don't have trees. That, to me, would make a lot of sense for the environment or for aesthetics or for any other reason. Parks. Question came up earlier. 2018, you all voted for, or at least a majority of you voted for new parks, community and neighborhood parks in the city. Right now, we've had 4 ribbon cuttings, and we've broken ground on Sands, on Cultural Park. So that process is moving forward. Now, the thing is, this was passed over 3 years ago at $60 million. Because of inflation and other cost overruns, we need to come up with another $12 million to make all this happen, and we're committed to that. These new parks are going to feature not only walking trails, pickleball courts, soccer fields, tennis courts, a camping ground, a lot of things that I think will benefit the community because we need parks. We're way down per capita on parks in our land, and that's amenity for our residents. As more families come in, how you enjoy these parks, it's a big deal for our community. So we're committed to that. We'll be closing down the yacht club for a couple of years, a little bit later this year. So we continue with the renovations there, new seawalls, moving the boat ramps, putting up a parking garage. Doesn't make a lot of residents happy right now. The boathouse will stay open, but needs to be done. And the reason we have to close the whole thing is just because of all the equipment that'll be there, supplies. It'll just be too dangerous for residents to be a part of that. So a hardship for the short term, but a great jewel when it's finished. So I wanted to use this part just to kind of listen. Anything, any topic, any issue that anybody wants to address. I may not necessarily have an answer for you, but I just want to hear what you have to say because it's important to me. And the hands went up in about 2 seconds after that. All right.
Right now on Pine Island Road, one at the Saddlewood entrance. I believe I saw the other one a little further down. And I am still confused about Walmart because I did still pull it up on the city site where it's listed as former Walmart. I went through permitting, went through everything. Nothing is listed. It's listed on the city site as for sale.
And I don't know how well the city manager is going to like me over the next 3 years, but because I come from the communication business, and it was my life, we need to do a better job communicating to residents about what's going on. It will be the responsibility of developers like Lee Health to also reach out to you and meet with you so that they understand your concerns. So it's it really needs to be a team effort on this, but I believe our website can be more proactive. When I call up our website, the only thing I see on my screen is a picture of a dolphin, which is great, but doesn't really provide a lot of information. For instance, how many of you knew this week that Waste Pro changed how they do things? That your pickup day, okay, well that's good. Your pickup day for garbage and recycling is also now the day they pick up bulk instead of the day after. Well, in theory. In theory, it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to happen that way. So we know there's still issues with them that that need to be worked out, and but how do we get the word to you on a consistent basis? I personally believe that we should be updating content on our website every day, refreshing the site, making sure our homepage doesn't necessarily have the same things on it every day, but lists critical news that's important to residents right now. What they need to know right now. It can rotate. It can change out. Just because of my background, how do we reach people better? So that's going to be constant. You're going to see probably communication as part of our 5 principles or priorities in our strategic plan moving forward. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Rob, I may have you address this one on solar lighting. I know we've had discussions with LCEC about that. So I don't think it's, well, if you talk about street lighting, we need to continue to look at our street lighting schedule, how that works, making sure residents know that if they want to purchase a street light, not necessarily in this community, but in other places, they can do that. Yeah. Okay. Same location? All right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to make a request to have it. You can do it. Yeah. We'll put you in charge. You're in charge of, see, I'm delegating tonight, just like if I was in the office. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Melissa will get you the information. It's to FDOT because that road is under their control. Yeah. All right. See, you're off the hook already. See, you delegated. That was good. Yes. Yeah, just put it closer to your mouth.
There.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. I mean, I kind of had my breath taken away when you were talking about the one going up on Pine Island, but nobody said anything about all of these complexes all over the place. And Veterans is an extremely busy road. Pine Island is. But where are the roads that are going to handle all of these people that are going to occupy these apartment complexes?
Well, and traffic analysis is going on all the time. I know back in play on Veterans, originally when Veterans was built, there were supposed to be overpasses at Santa Barbara Country Club. And they're back in, the one at Santa Barbara is back in play now. It's being studied by the county. That's a county road. Veterans a county road. So that's being studied as a possible overpass there. Traffic calming efforts wherever they might take place. So yeah, it's by our traffic engineers and by people with the county. Those discussions are continuing. And over flyover at Summerlin and Colonial. Back in play now to help ease the traffic as people leave Cape Coral and go over to the city. I know it's tough out there. As we analyze and study, and things take time. I wish it would happen in 2 years. It just doesn't. And the same things that frustrated me as a journalist can frustrate me now as a elected official. Is why can't it happen quicker? It just doesn't evolve that way, especially when it comes to funding and these huge projects that need to take place. So we're going to try and strengthen our role in terms of how we address our needs with the county, and what that's going to mean. What that's going to mean moving forward. So, what else? Yes. Any plans to expand public transportation? Yeah, we have been working with Lee Transit on looking at ways to improve that. A specialized, I can't remember the exact title of it, but it's kind of specialized transportation where you can actually call and a Lee Tran bus will come to wherever you are and pick you up. You'll be on a schedule, so it's more tailored transportation for individuals as opposed to running a route where your buses may not be even half full. So, they're going to roll that out. The fares don't change any from what they would otherwise, and we want to encourage people to ride the buses more. But the only way to do that is to make it easy for them to actually get to the bus. So, all that's being looked at. What else? Yes, way in the back. Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't Festival Park is going to include an amphitheater, which will be a great possibility for something like that. It's, as you look at wish lists and dreams, after attending the art festival this past weekend, I hope some of you or many of you are able to attend it. I know motorists don't necessarily like it, but I love when we shut down Cape Coral Parkway. It brings out the people. So we basically shut it down 3 times a year with the Arts Festival, Red, White, and Boom, Holiday Festival of Light. I would look at, if you've ever been down to Fort Myers and Music Walk, I would like to look at, sometime in between those events, having a music event down there where we feature local bands along the parkway. I just think it starts to bring the community together a little bit when we might be fragmented at times. So that's, wish list for somewhere down the road. Yes, sir. Well, I hope they're. Well,
closing. I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, we hope it encourages people to take a look and move into Cape Coral. We hope it attracts Cape Coral residents that are interested in those what would have been high-paying jobs. Farmer Joe's, I think, for instance, has hired 400 people. Okay, they wanted 6, I think, right? But they've hired 400 people. So they're finding the help if they're coming across the road, and that's why lady was talking about all the apartments and thing. Finding attainable housing, affordable housing, is important, and you'll start to see some of that in these apartment complexes that you might not see in the residential areas. So, keeping the workforce here so that they don't have to go across the river, it's important to our community. Yes, at 8% commercial, whatever office, and remember too, as Nita was talking about office space, more companies. COVID taught a lot of businesses that a lot of people can work remotely. So office space, smaller areas, is in demand right now. So, there was a time in Cape Coral we had tons of office space available during the recession, Class A office space. It doesn't exist anymore because people are changing how they think because of the virus. And, now they're looking at it differently. So, well, maybe we don't need this huge building anymore. Maybe we can look at, does Cape Coral have office space where, we have people working at home, but we'd like to have a place where people can gather for meetings or for meet with clients or for whatever. So, it's an interesting time because everything is really evolving in how we look at different things. It's 7:30. Okay. Well, time flies. Listen, it means a lot to me that you all came tonight. It really does. When you have these things, you never know what to expect. But I know all of you are interested in what's happening, not only within this community, but outside of the gates here. And I hope we answered some of your questions. I know there's always going to be concerns, always going to be wonder about what happens next. But from my heart, thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom and his team, with the lovely information. I know I don't live in Cape Coral, but I'm excited for what's coming on, and I may move to Cape Coral. So all of you have a wonderful night, and looking forward to hear more.